Chosen one, listen carefully. If you are hearing this, it is not by accident. You are not just anyone. You are a warrior, a kingdom financier. You were never meant to just survive. You were meant to control resources, build influence, and multiply wealth for God's purpose. But if that is true, then why does it feel like every step forward is met with resistance? Why, no matter how much you push, does the financial breakthrough still feel just out of reach? Because before God releases wealth into the hands of His chosen ones, He first puts them through a test, and most people fail it without even knowing. This is why God does not give wealth based on effort alone. If hard work was the key, then the hardest workers would be the richest, but they are not. Look around. The ones who struggle the most are often the ones grinding the hardest, because wealth is not a reward for labor. It is a test of stewardship. And right now, you are in that test. Whether you realize it or not, you are standing in the middle of a divine evaluation. Everything you have been going through, the delays, the struggles, the doors that won't open, are not happening by accident. They are happening because heaven is watching to see if you are ready. Most will fail. They will keep fighting the wrong battle, thinking more effort is the answer, when in reality, they are ignoring the real reason wealth has not yet been released to them. They will stay stuck because no one ever told them what is really holding them back. But a few will see what is happening. A few will wake up. A few will pass the test and unlock the floodgates of supernatural provision. And once they do, money will flow, not just for their own needs, but to fund businesses, movements, and missions that will change lives. The only question is, will you be one of them, or will you keep fighting the wrong battle and miss the breakthrough that was meant for you? You have been told your whole life that if you work hard enough, everything will fall into place. That if you push, sacrifice, and grind long enough, success will come. But deep down, you know that something isn't adding up. Look around. Millions of people are working harder than ever, pulling extra shifts, sacrificing sleep, doing everything they can to get ahead. And yet, they remain stuck. No matter how much effort they put in, the wealth they need to break free never seems to come. Maybe you have experienced this yourself. You've done everything they told you to do. You've worked tirelessly, given your best, prayed, and waited for your moment. And still, the financial doors you've been trying to open seem locked. Every step forward is met with resistance. Every breakthrough you thought was near suddenly disappears. And you've asked yourself the same question over and over again. Why? Because hard work alone is not enough. It has never been enough. If effort was the answer, the hardest workers would be the richest people on earth. But they aren't. The ones who wake up before the sun, who push their limits every day, who never stop hustling. Many of them remain trapped in the same financial cycles for years. Meanwhile, there are people who seem to attract wealth effortlessly. Money finds them. Opportunities open for them. And you can't help but wonder, what do they know that I don't? This is where most people get it wrong. They assume that if they just work harder, the breakthrough will come. They believe the reason they haven't received wealth is because they aren't doing enough. So they push even harder. They sacrifice more. They go all in. And yet nothing changes. Because wealth isn't released by effort alone. It is released by alignment. And right now, you are either in alignment with divine financial laws, or you are out of alignment. This is why so many people struggle their entire lives. Not because they aren't trying, but because they are fighting the wrong battle. They are chasing wealth instead of positioning themselves for it. And here's the dangerous part. Most people never realize this. They think the answer is just around the corner. So they keep repeating the same cycle year after year, hoping that next time things will be different. But unless something changes, nothing will. This is why God doesn't give wealth to just anyone. Before he releases it, he tests those who ask for it, not to keep them from wealth, but to see if they are ready to handle it. Because money isn't just paper, it's influence, it's responsibility, it's power. And God knows that placing it in the wrong hands can destroy a person just as quickly as it can bless them. This is why wealth only flows to those who understand the divine process, those who pass the financial tests that others don't even know exist. And right now, you are being tested. The struggle you've been facing isn't a punishment. It's proof that you are in the process. The reason it has felt so hard, the reason it feels like no matter what you do, the breakthrough hasn't come, is because you are in the middle of something most people never make it through. And this is where the choice happens. Most will keep struggling without ever realizing why they are stuck. They will keep pushing, keep grinding, keep repeating the same patterns, and they will never see the tests that were right in front of them. But a few will recognize what is happening. A few will wake up. A few will see that before wealth is given, a divine evaluation takes place. And once you see the test, you can pass it. But first, you must understand what it is. The only question is, will you finally see what has been keeping you from wealth? Or will you continue fighting harder in the wrong direction and miss the moment God has prepared for you? Most people never realize they are being tested. They assume that because they are struggling, it means they have failed. They believe that if they work harder, push more, and give everything they have, something will eventually break open. But they don't understand the truth. God never gives wealth without first testing the person who asks for it. If money was just about effort, the world would look very different. The ones who work the hardest, sacrifice the most, and dedicate their lives to grinding would be the wealthiest people on earth. But they aren't. The hardest workers often struggle the most. The people breaking their backs in labor-intensive jobs are rarely the ones walking in abundance. And then there are those who seem to move effortlessly, making more in one deal than others do in a lifetime. This is where most people get stuck. They look at those who are financially successful and assume they must have had an unfair advantage. They assume wealth is luck, privilege, or simply out of reach for them. But that is not the case. The truth is, there are divine laws that govern money, and those who understand them operate on a completely different level. Most people unknowingly violate these laws every single day. They try to force wealth through their own strength, completely ignoring the spiritual principles that control financial flow. They get caught in cycles of debt, poor stewardship, and endless struggle, never realizing that they are failing the very test that determines whether or not they will receive abundance. And the worst part? Most of them will never see it. They will keep grinding, keep pushing, keep sacrificing, all while remaining trapped in the same financial battles they have fought for years. Not because they aren't trying hard enough, but because they are fighting the wrong battle. But for those who recognize what is happening, everything changes. The moment you understand that your financial struggle is not a punishment, but a divine test, you can begin to position yourself to pass it. You can stop running in circles, stop chasing money the way the world does, and finally align with the financial laws that unlock supernatural provision. And once you do that, wealth no longer becomes something you chase. It becomes something that flows to you. This is the difference between those who receive supernatural abundance and those who never break through. The ones who pass the test see doors open that others never knew existed. They step into financial opportunities that seem impossible to explain. They watch as wealth begins to multiply in ways that defy logic. And this is why you are here. Because right now, you are being tested. The things you are facing, the struggles you have been going through, The moments where it felt like you were on the edge of breakthrough, only for it to slip away, these were not accidents. They were signs that God is preparing you for something bigger. Most people miss this moment. They fail to see the test, and as a result, they repeat the same cycle over and over again. But you don't have to be one of them. If you can recognize what is happening, if you can see the test for what it is, you can pass it. And when you do, the financial breakthrough you have been waiting for will no longer be delayed. If you feel like you have been in a financial test without realizing it, type "I see it now" in the comments. This is your declaration. Let it be a sign that you will no longer fight blindly, that you are ready to break free from the struggle and step into what God has been preparing for you. Because right now, you stand at a crossroads. You can either continue fighting with your own strength, or you can finally see what has been hidden from most people all their lives. And once you see it, you can never go back. But there is one more thing you must understand. The test is not just one thing. There are 5 divine financial tests, and until you pass them, your breakthrough cannot be released. The question is, do you even know what they are? This is the moment that separates those who stay stuck from those who break through. Right now, you are standing in the middle of a financial test you didn't even realize was happening. And this is why the struggle has been so intense. This is why, no matter how much effort you put in, the breakthrough has not come. Because before wealth is released, God watches to see who is ready. But here's the truth almost no one talks about. There is not just one test, there are 5. And these 5 tests determine who steps into supernatural financial overflow and who remains trapped in the cycle of frustration, lack, and endless effort with no results. Most people will never see these tests. They will work harder and harder, believing that effort alone is enough, never realizing that the reason their breakthrough is delayed has nothing to do with how much they try, but with whether or not they have passed the financial tests that unlock divine wealth. And this is why some people struggle for decades. They are not failing in effort, they are failing in alignment. They don't even know what test they are in, and because of that, they keep repeating it over and over again. But for those who see it, everything changes. Because the moment you recognize a test, you can pass it. The moment you understand what is being asked of you, you can finally step into the divine financial breakthrough that has been waiting for you. And the shocking part? Some of these tests don't look like tests at all. Some of them come disguised as opportunities. Others come disguised as setbacks. And the most dangerous ones? They look like nothing at all. They operate in the background of your life, hidden, controlling your financial results without you even realizing it. Think about this for a moment. Have you ever felt like you were just one step away from a breakthrough, but somehow it never came? Have you ever wondered why some people seem to be positioned for opportunities that others never even hear about? Why some seem to attract wealth while others struggle for years with no results? It is not luck. It is not random. It is because there are divine rules that govern financial increase, and only those who pass these tests can access the next level. And here's the scary truth. Most people are failing these tests right now, without even knowing. That means every financial delay, every cycle of struggle, every breakthrough that seemed close but never arrived. It was all tied to one of these 5 tests. And the people who never figure this out, they stay stuck for years, even decades, fighting battles that were never meant to be fought, exhausting themselves trying to open doors that will never open until they pass these tests. But once you pass them, wealth no longer becomes something you chase. It becomes something that flows to you. Because here's what almost no one understands. Money is not the goal. It is a tool. And God will never release a tool into the hands of someone who does not understand how to use it. Imagine a king preparing his son to take over his kingdom. Does he just give him everything immediately? No. He first tests him to see if he is worthy. He watches to see how he handles responsibility, how he reacts under pressure, how he makes decisions when no one is watching. Only when the son has proven himself ready does the king hand over the keys to the kingdom. This is exactly what God does with wealth. And this is why some people seem to rise effortlessly into financial blessing, while others remain stuck for years. It has nothing to do with how much they try. It has everything to do with whether or not they have been approved. And right now, you are in that process. But here is the problem. Most people never pass these tests. They think that as long as they work harder, pray more, or stay persistent, things will eventually shift. But they don't realize that persistence in the wrong direction will never lead to breakthrough. And this is where most people miss it. They are fighting battles that don't even matter. They are exhausting themselves trying to break through financial struggles without ever stopping to ask the most important question. What is the test I am in right now? Because here's what you need to understand. God does not test everyone the same way. Some people will be tested in one area, while others will be tested in another. And this is why most people miss their moment. They don't even realize they are in a test, so they fail before they even begin. And here's the most dangerous part. If you fail, you don't just move on, you repeat the test. That's why you see people struggling with the same financial issues for 5, 10, even 20 years. They aren't failing because they don't have potential. They are failing because they are fighting the wrong battle. But what if you could see the test? What if you could recognize it as soon as it appeared? What if, instead of struggling for years, you could pass in a fraction of the time? Because once you know what these tests are, everything changes. No more guessing. No more wondering why things aren't working. No more pushing in the wrong direction. Most people will continue living their lives unaware. They will keep pushing, keep grinding, keep struggling, never knowing why they stay stuck. But a few will see the truth. A few will wake up and realize that they have been standing at the edge of financial breakthrough for years without even realizing it. If you feel like you have been in a financial test without realizing it, type "I see it now" in the comments. This is not just a comment. This is a declaration, a sign that from this moment forward, you refuse to keep fighting blindly. A sign that you are ready to step into the next level of financial wisdom, ready to break the cycle and pass the tests that have been keeping you stuck. Because right now, you stand at a crossroads. You can either continue fighting with your own strength, or you can finally see what has been hidden from most people all their lives. And once you see it, you can never go back. But there is one more thing you must understand. The test is not just one thing. There are 5 divine financial tests, and until you pass them, your breakthrough cannot be released. The question is, do you even know what they are? Most people don't, and because they don't, they fail them before they even begin. But for those who do, everything changes. Right now, you are standing at the moment where most people turn back. They hear the truth, they feel the shift, but they stop before they understand what comes next. The question is, will you keep fighting the wrong battle, or are you ready to see what God has been testing you on this entire time? Because what you are about to hear will determine whether or not your financial breakthrough is delayed or finally released. Most people will never hear this truth, and that is why they stay stuck. They will spend their entire lives wondering why things never changed, why breakthrough never came, why they worked harder than anyone else and still struggled. They will look back on years of effort sacrifice, and pushing through, only to realize that nothing ever truly shifted. And the worst part? They won't even know why. They will convince themselves that maybe it wasn't meant for them, that maybe God just didn't choose them for financial increase. They will tell themselves that perhaps they were never meant to walk in supernatural provision, that maybe wealth is reserved for someone else. And so, they will keep working, keep grinding, keep striving, only to repeat the same cycles over and over again. But they will never stop to ask the one question that changes everything. What if the reason they never stepped into financial breakthrough wasn't because they weren't chosen? What if it wasn't because they didn't try hard enough? What if they failed because they never even realized that they were being tested? Because that is exactly what is happening. Right now, whether you see it or not, whether you realize it or not, you are being tested. Not tomorrow, not next year, not at some distant point in the future. Right now. Every financial delay, every struggle, every time you thought things were about to change, only to have everything fall apart again. It was never random. It was never an accident. It was never just bad timing or bad luck. It was a test, and most people fail it. Not because they aren't smart, not because they aren't talented, not because they don't have what it takes. They fail simply because they never saw the test for what it was. And that is the most dangerous kind of failure. Because when you don't even know you are being tested, you have no way of preparing. You don't know what is required. You don't know what God is looking for. You don't even know how close you are to passing or how far you are from breakthrough. And so most people fail before they even begin. They keep pushing harder and harder, believing that if they just try more, if they just work longer hours, if they just hold on a little longer, something will shift. But it doesn't. And do you know why? Because effort alone is not enough. Understanding is. And today you have a chance to find out if you are about to pass, or if you are about to miss everything. Because right now, whether you know it or not, whether you believe it or not, God is testing you. And that test is determining whether or not you will be entrusted with supernatural financial breakthrough. Most people ignore this. They assume that if God wanted to bless them, He would just do it. They assume that if they are struggling, then maybe financial increase isn't meant for them. But that is not how it works. God does not release wealth randomly. He does not pour financial increase into the hands of those who are not ready. And that is why most people stay stuck. Not because they don't have the ability to manage wealth, not because they aren't called to walk in financial abundance, but because they fail the tests that come before the breakthrough. And do you know what the scariest part is? Most people fail without ever realizing they were even being tested. That is why they never break free. That is why they keep working harder, running in circles, hoping that maybe next time will be different. But next time won't be different if nothing changes. And this is where you have a choice. You can keep fighting battles without knowing the rules, or you can finally see what is really happening. Because there are 5 divine financial tests. 5. Not 1, not 2, not 3. 5 specific tests that determine who receives supernatural wealth and who stays stuck. And if you don't know what they are, you are already at risk of failing. Most people will never learn this. They will keep wondering why they struggle, why doors don't open, why financial increase never comes. But you don't have to be one of them. Because right now, you have a chance to see what almost no one else sees. This is not about working harder. This is not about doing more. This is about knowing what most people will never know. Because the next step of your breakthrough depends on whether you pass or fail. The wealth that you have prayed for, the increase that you have waited for, the abundance that you have worked for, it is already assigned. It already exists. The only question is, will you be approved to receive it? Because right now, you are being tested. Right now, heaven is watching. And the decisions you make next will determine whether you pass the test or whether you stay exactly where you are. But if you are truly ready, if you want to know exactly what these 5 tests are and how to pass them, there is only one thing left to do. Click here now to see the 5 divine financial tests and find out if you will receive wealth or lose it forever. Because once you see what is really happening, once you finally understand what God has been doing behind the scenes this entire time, you will never see wealth the same way again. And from that moment forward, nothing in your financial life will ever be the same. Click now. Your financial breakthrough depends on it.